Peace and positivity reflections, good energy to all. So in this video I just want to talk about perception and how, the cities that we live, the jobs that, we have to work. When I say we, I mean, the type of people who do have to work, 9 to 5 jobs and live in these cities and do all that. Um, this is all, these are all things that we're absorbing, that our perception is perceiving, and that's creating stimuli within inside of our being, which is thus then creating a feeling that we're then manifesting or creating a reality outside or inside of. I'm saying that our feelings do create our realities, and our feelings come from our perception. So by continuing to work jobs, by continuing to operate under laws and routines that go against something that is pleasurable to our higher selves, we are putting ourselves in a stressed condition. We are putting ourselves into pain only to teach us really that we don't need to be there and we don't really belong there. And if we continue to stay there, we're going to be going against our higher self ways and continue our suffering, and thus need assistance from an artificial means or AI technology, which then, will have its own play, but that's for another video. But what I'm trying to say is essentially the lives that these cities allow us, that these cities are dependent upon, that these cities adhere to, that these cities support and perpetuate, the type of energy that the activities of these cities produce is of a low frequency nature. These are all things that we're perceiving, that we're seeing, that we're absorbing, that then are becoming thought, that are thought frequencies, that are stimuli in our head that we're feeling, and thus we're creating. That's why we are helping to create these realities by being in them. And it's like that's why the best thing that we can do, instead of complaining about these realities, or instead of trying to live within inside of them and change them within inside of them while still being infected by being inside of them, is just to starve them, is just to leave them and to create a different one. There's absolutely no, the only reason to stay in them is because, at some level, it's either you're just too, you're afraid of change, you're afraid to do something different, or a part of you still likes it. I mean, or yeah, I mean that's what it is. Or it's just laziness. It's a mixture of these things. But and at the end of the day, it's ignorance, because you know that these things are poisonous to you. You know that they're cancer-inducing. You know that this system is operating in a disharmonious manner. So because it is disharmonious, it is not going to be successful. It cannot be successful. There is no way a disharmonious system will continue to exist. Its time is going to be very short. If the pattern that it is operating under is not able to continue itself, and has a feasibly finite end time in perspective, which this system does, in terms of the resources and the food and the pollution and just the epidemic of mental illness and obesity and all these things. These are all facts that are, very easily observable and, clearly documented. These are proofs of these are signs of the times. And so it goes to show that, that this is a lower self system, that this is a cancerous system, that this is a system that is not designed to cater to mankind's best, and higher self needs. And in fact, you could say that it is catered towards the opposite of that. And it does its best to appear like it is catering to the best of the needs. But in fact, in reality, it is the exact opposite. I mean, that's just what the devil does. It deceives you. It makes you think it's your friend, when in reality, it's actually your enemy. So again, but what trying to fight the devil with fire is not going to work either. This is why trying to pick up a gun and fighting the system with violence is not going to work. That's a lower base action. You can't fight fire with fire. You can quell it with water. Yeah, you can, or you can move away from fire. You can outmaneuver it, but you can't fight fire with fire. Come on now, you can't. it's going to take you out. It's a destroyer. That's what it thrives off of, is killing, is consuming, is taking life, is all these things. Now, if you're put into a corner or it's coming after you and you have nowhere else to go, and it's at that point, it's at that crescendo, it's at that pressure point, things are that heated in the cooker to where a merge is inevitable, and one force is going to have to, outdo the other force and subdue, and then there's a time for that. But the time for that I don't feel is now, and if it was, we wouldn't do so good because we're so disconnected and spread out that we really have no, we're just now coming into the Christ consciousness. We're just now starting to realize the truths of humanity, of the universe. And we still don't really know. We're just now, theories are just starting to come out. Like new ideas are just starting to pop out. This new, the flat earth theory, like all these things, all these different ideas, about the human body, the holographic universe. I mean, there's still so many, there's a lot of different lanes to go down. There's a lot of different information out there, and there's a lot of truth into it all. And I think it all has elements of truth to it. It's just about having that good discernment and knowing which elements are more truth, or which elements seem to have a more persistent pattern that plays out in this universe than others, and sticking to those, sticking to the roads that we know to be the most effective. And again, this goes right back to carbonation, because his way, the Honorable Master Teacher Nature Boy, Commander-in-Chief of the Earth Plane, his way, the carbonation way, is the most effective way to starve the system. To starve the system, which is perpetuating cancer, is the best way to end cancer, because cancer will eventually eat itself out. And not only is it the best way to starve cancer, it's also the best way to reverse the effects of cancer. Okay, because once you stop feeding it, then you got to then the next thing to do is to just heal. Then you got to repair the damage. So in order to repair the best way, it's like going to a machine shop. When you go to a machine shop, you want to go to the best shop for your vehicle, and you want to put the best parts in your vehicle, and you want the best attendance and environment for your vehicle, right? Well, that's equivalent for the human body would be the tropics. You're going to get the best food. You're going to get the most organic food. You're going to get the best sunshine. You're going to have great, good water that's pouring down 24/7 all around you. I mean, that's going to give yourself the best elements, the best tools to repair the damage. And you're not going to be doing those stressful jobs. You're not going to be putting yourself into these routines that negatively affect your being, that are creating cancerous stress inside of you. That's another thing with people who beat cancer and then they get it back again. It's because they beat cancer only to go back into a life that created the cancer. It's like, if you go through chemo and you do all these things and you actually get rid of it, or it goes into remission or whatever, and then it comes back, well, it's because you didn't really actually, you just fought it really hard, and, you used a lot of crazy medicines and this and that, and you were able to push it away. But because you went back into the same activities that brought about the cancer in the first place, the cancer came back. That's the sad part about it. And a lot of that goes, and I know the medical industry has done kind of a, unfortunately, they perpetuate the idea that genes are something that are just hereditarily part of yourself and you're born with, and there's nothing you can do about it. And epigenetics is showing that that's not true at all. That it actually has more to do with your environment. It has more to do with your beliefs. It has more to do with what you decide to pay attention to with your everyday life and the activities and the way you think about things than actually the genes that you were born with. So this is why being around like-minded people, this is why being around natural surroundings, this is why, making sure that the activities and the type of things that you're doing with your everyday are things that you actually like and that are actually good for you and your environment is so important, for reversing cancer, or for just, keeping cancer away, and to be an example of an immune cell for other people with cancer. It really is the best way to help the world and yourself at the same time. And you're going to be around like-minded people doing things that you like to do and in an environment that you love. That's conducive, and that's going to give you the best and most good ingredients for your being, in terms of food, water, and shelter, and all this and that. Not to mention the type of people and the energies that they're going to be exchanging with you. is going to be of a higher vibrational nature in itself. So, and then you can continue to share that with other people, and we can grow, and more the merrier. This is going to be the way. And then then this is where the holographic universe. This is how we would start projecting a different universe. This is how we would start projecting a different reality. But it's going to take a lot of human beings. It's going to take a lot of us. A lot of us here right now are projecting this lower self reality. There's over 7 billion of us or something, right? There's only a few people in carbonation. But imagine if just even 100,000 people were in carbonation, or imagine if there was a couple million people in carbonation. I mean, this is the type of, just think about how powerful that would be if you had that many people all living together, all under the same frequency of thought, all of, similar, yeah, similar high vibrational frequency, all with their own different little talents and hobbies and stuff, but all operating at that same energy field. And keeping themselves there, not allowing infiltration of anything that's going to upset that vibrational frequency, knowing that it is that sacred, knowing that they are the pulsating heart of humanity, are that direct expression, radiation of, the grand creator God, if you want to call it that, the good Lord. That's what they are, and that's what you become when you join them. And this is how we can actually use our thoughts to change this reality, because that vibration will send out energy waves which will repel the low vibrational influence that the world is stuck under. So this is how we change the reality. By changing ourselves, one step at a time, and coming together under the guise of, the Honorable Master Teacher Nature Boy, the Commander-in-Chief of the Earth Plane, who has set out and been the leader and continued to push this information, and continues to grow and learn and be an ever more example of what it truly is to be a higher self vibrational human being, or essentially cell. So excuse me, my voice getting a little hoarse. With that being said, I love myself, and good energy to all. All right, goodbye.